Okay, so welcome everybody. Thank you for coming today. And today I have the great pleasure of introducing Zoë Landale, longtime friend and mentor, and my secret weapon in my own writing because she's so incredibly helpful. So Zoë Landale has published 8 books, edited 2 books, and her work appears in around 50 anthologies. She taught creative writing at Kwantlen Polytechnic University for many years and has since graduated to full-time writing. Her latest book is Jory and the Skyhorse, young adult fantasy. A book of poetry, Segrin's Bargain with Odin, will be published in 2023 by Inanna Press at York University. And most recently, she's had poems accepted for the anthology Cascadian Zen, edited by myself, Paul Nelson, and Jason Worth, coming out in 2023, we believe. So Zoë is a prolific writer and excels in all the genres, but today I want to celebrate her poetry. When Zoë was a teenager, she spent years fishing up and down the BC coast and further north than that, even on a trawler with her then partner, and in the process fell in love with the landscape, with the coast. So dedicated has she been in her desire to experience all that the coast has to offer, that she once did a writing retreat in Butte Inlet, which is north of Desolation Sound and very remote, in a cabin that was placed smack in the middle of a grizzly bear's territory. Her uneasy relationship with that bear is a good story, and I suggest you ask her about it. Her poetry is filled with that love and deep observation of the natural world. As one reviewer noted, Landale's poetry is remarkable for its fusion of rocky hardness with the luminosity of coastal British Columbia. But Zoë is much more than a nature poet. As another reviewer described her work, Landale has the lyric ability to evoke the particular with such warmth and grace that one cannot help becoming aware of a spiritual dimension, as when she writes, "Daily we swirl over our ordinary shoulders the cloak of prophecy worn with becoming." It is Zoë's ability to create this marriage of the natural world and the spiritual that I find especially fascinating. This is not an easy marriage. Many poets fall short when they attempt to add this dimension. In Zoë's latest work, in which she will be reading from today, a series of elegies patterned on Rilke's Duino elegies, she explores the full range of grief as it translated her days into something utterly unexpected after the loss of her husband, and does so with such grace that the language itself offers healing power. The poems ultimately instill the pain with such beauty that the listener is empowered to continue on. To quote another reviewer, "The luminosity of her work is so pervasive that even the harshest of circumstances is imbued with healing because of the beauty of the words, which is what the reader can find in her work time and time again." So without further ado, I give you Zoë Landale.
Thank you. That was an amazing introduction, Adelia. I so appreciate everything you said.
It was fun to do. It was really fun.
Wow. Won't let that go to my head too hard. So I'm honored to be asked to join this ZoomMuse Poems for Peace. And it made me think, like, what use are poems for peace anyway? And I think my answer is, I'd like to think they're a great deal of use because it's continuing a conversation. It's saying peace matters. We will give it headroom and we will give it heartroom. If we don't think about something, for us, it doesn't exist. And as an example of this, I credit my Aunt Anne, who is an artist, for teaching me to see. I remember walking with her up at her cottage in Muskoka when I was 8. And, the way the kids do, what's this, what's this, what's this? I'm pointing at bushes, I'm pointing at trees, I'm pointing at flowers. And she is very patient. And she'd show me how the particular bushes were different from one another and how the trees were different. And this was a revelation. Before, the area had all just been a blur, So holding peace in our thoughts, identifying and doing our best to hold on to that peace, for me, is a very honorable practice. I'd like to dedicate the reading to the people who are dealing with the effects of the catastrophic mudslides and flooding in the province of BC, where I live. Yeah, just sending out love and prayers to people. As Adelia told you, just before COVID interrupted our world, I had a particular challenge to my own peace. My husband, who I'd been married to for a very long time, died. And it's, well, how do you hold on to peace at that point? My experience has been that grief fragments you into shards. And that's what you have to live with, those sharp edges and dispersal. You have to go through that. But at the same time, you're flying apart. And writing these poems was for me a way of bringing the fragments back, a process of coalescing again, if you will. As many of you know, Rainer Maria Rilke is a very famous German poet. And Adelia mentioned that this is patterned from his Duino elegies. And I thought one day, I just woke up and I thought, I could write elegies. I could look at different translations of Rilke's and without using the same words, pattern from them. And I looked at what he was saying in each stanza and agreed or disagreed. Very often I disagreed. And then put my own words in. You will find, if you were sitting there with different translations, you'd see there's a certain similarity in the rhythm. And there are particular interests of mine that the poems circle around. They're wild and disparate: Norse mythology, physics, horticulture, as Adelia mentioned, a very strong love and identification with the BC coast. In this first poem, I mention an orchid, and this is actually something that grows locally. It's about 2 inches high. It's the most extraordinarily beautiful thing. If you get down on the forest floor and look at it, it's only here probably for a week, maybe a week and a half, depending on the weather. But this is a local plant, not imported. The first elegy. Who among the quicksilver dead can reach through to comfort you when you weep? Even if one held out its arms, you would drift through that much wanted embrace the way mist swirls through dark forest, or fir pollen puffs copper grains on the breeze. For death balances on the cusp between the longed for and panic we can only just endure. We worship this silence because it calmly refuses to annihilate us. Each of our dead is sealed, a cipher there's no reading in this lifetime. So you endure this longing, its hook hard set. Who will help you? Mystery's gold meaning, which organizes us all into lines of light. Even the animals understand the insecurity of our perch. We are high wire acrobats about to tumble from the surface of the planet. Everything we perceive is merely a guess. In the end, all that's left is the yew tree you watch every day from your window, silhouette black against the sky. And our friend repetition, loyal as a dog, the tidying of cluttered rooms, the spun silk habits of keeping a life clean. Between the covers of waking and not, a great windy terror scours your heart raw. You reach out, sigh, remembering. Who can stay behind when death summons? You are not immune. From 2, 1 is left. Don't you get it? Open your arms, invite emptiness. Maybe your ghost will feel the whoof of displaced air and blow you a kiss. It's true April had you on its short list. White stars of wild cherries to be admired. White boils of current along the old village site, flood tide rising in green braids of current saying, see? And you did see. Events, the whys of betrayals from years ago as you walked the beach, listen to the gronk of Canada geese swimming 10 feet away, suffering you balefully. Weren't you always just about to pay attention, each round minute rolling away? Sins of omission. Will you blink now, zip sideways into the moving water of your own life and go straight home to a glass of wine? There's no denying your cupboards are packed with memories in hand-sewn cotton bags with ties. The tenderness those ties provoke. If you breathe just so, the intensity slacks off. You never understood before what a valiant act being alive really is. Faces from the past peer over your shoulder, particular about wanting to be noticed. A boy with straw-colored hair, a woman who smells of face powder and cigarettes, a handsome man in a checked shirt with messy hair and a big grin. We are the living. We make choices about who we walk with along white shell beaches. All of us, even you, will be forgotten, though possibly not this week. Blind centuries will rise over our bones, we who once held hands as we walked down city streets, who loved, lost, ate sweet oranges. The dead feel no jealousy. They will claim us soon enough. It is sad, though, that the vision we had of our own great deeds got up and strode into the sea. Every decision we make in this late afternoon sun defines us. We can wish beauty to stamp us more intensely, but we move suffused with the past. When we get up and go, our ghosts, well-meaning and not, rise with us. Would you hold out a hand to one? Only cold ocean fume will answer at this turning point of stillness. The universe speaks in a language like the tiny orchids, Calypso balbosa, you've watched send up pink flowers in 2 days from the forest floor. A language for holy fools. The word resonates from that invisible drumhead of the world. Have you lit candles for your recent dead? Some spirits didn't get to say the goodbyes they would have wanted. So dance for them. Lift up your hands, your orchid heart. They are blooming now in the deep forest. The surprise of it still stops you. Where do they go, these ghosts? How do they manage without coffee? The rituals it took a lifetime to collect. Do even their names get hung up like a coat you take off inside a door? Certainly you can feel them moving like slow meteors burning with joy. They lean forward as if against a headwind. They have laid down their worries about us, fanned them out, cartoon valentines in a shiny heap on a hall table inside the door. Speculate all you want. The dead may send us the occasional cheery, hello, but their tethers have snapped. They are all the wild balloon colors you can imagine, and they are disappearing at speed. Do the dead outgrow us? Perhaps they travel through such faraway passes we no longer catch the flash of messages they've asked the stars to relay. Or did the stars forget? They're more into the squeak and hiss of hydrogen, the electromagnetic colors of combustion they call music. Left behind, you bump shoulders with desolation again. If you wait long enough, will the flat world spring back into breadth, depth, height? Joy has deflated to a limp word. There is no comfort, just rolled gray. Only the sun, your eager dog, and daffodils in bloom have meaning. The second elegy. Each of the dead is sealed, a message in a bottle spun past us into the roaring cascades of galaxies. Years ago, after someone you loved died, that night as you scrabbled between sleep and dream, unwilling to let go, you struggled with him along a steep slope. No moon, no stars, only a sheen of light from the sky. At last you reached the rounded arch of a stone bridge spanning a chasm. A river seethed below, its cold piercing as a long farewell. A resonant voice said, "You have followed as far as you are able." The speaking filled you with awe. You understood then there were boundaries. You had pushed too far. You stopped. Your dead scrambled up to the bridge deck. Someone was coming. Who? You listened for footsteps as they walked away. All you heard was the wind hissing, water. There were 7 heavens above Asgard, city of the Norse gods, ascending realms of who knows what festivities, even battle the Norse might yearn for. Something profound gutters from a corpse, leaving only a spent candle behind. Look at the still face you loved. Aren't you surprised at how gone that person is? You have to ask where, and can't they stick around a bit, help you get your bearings? Stay at the crossroads at midnight or on the bridge, crackling like a transformer with sheer energy. Here we stand between one breath and death, asking to be liked. Off in the distance, the sky reflects pink onto the night sky. The city reflects pink onto the night sky. Oh, such loneliness steals the heart and rides off with it hanging from the saddle. Tell me heaven is going to be different, please. We are short-term glories compared to the integrity of rocks or even trees. What are we but a rag bag of longings waiting to go home? So we ask and receive, keep believing in that glorious instant where the universe says, yes, it's gold and good, until it slips through our fingers like water. When we vanish from the bodies we've inhabited and scarred, what quick flame goes where? Do we hover above ourselves, wonder, what now? Want to comfort our own cooling flesh? The beauty in us, that thrill of knowing oneself alive, transmuted now. We become concentrated to a purity which owns us. Are there beings in the light that surrounds us? You squint, it's too intense to see. Sun reflects from the lake, tiny glitters of bright like dancing souls. What does it mean to cross over? If we knew we were dying, we could plan, yes? Sit together by the fire with a glass of wine, say, this is how you will know me. But it will always be another year or month. Not today we'll die. Some confide in trees or whisper secrets into the soft ear of a dog. Light flows through us until it doesn't. Some intangible silver flickers out and your beloved falls on a forest path. The one left behind is violently amazed at how paper-thin it feels to walk singular through the world. It is not a good kind of weightlessness. The empty house rings like a bell with the clapper gone. Waves of panicked air beat against the walls. Your hands hold nothing. Who are you when you're home? We define ourselves in relationship. Daughter, son, orphans, lungs, heart, bones, the blue lightning of pain. The sheltering yew tree, genius loci of the garden, where Anna's hummingbirds perch. Who are we when even gravity can't define us anymore? Don't we throw out coils of longing, soft and thick as braided nylon, straight up and ask for messages from our dead? Give us a sign of wonder, we say to the sky. If it obliges, do we believe from hope? We may be given back a twinkle of spider silk or 6 blue herons who circle over and over us until we weep for wonder. Or nothing. Floods of anguish. Then the tide goes out, which is a good thing, as no organism can sustain such intensity forever. So you tell yourself and want to believe. The closest you get to peace is walking around the lake, moving one foot, then another, hips swing, and you're not supposed to call anyone or do anything other than move. Juncos keep you company with clicks, flit from fur to fur. Hold it all like a soap bubble. Be iridescent with love. Keep your hands cupped softly. We own only our breath. Love comes with an undated check of farewell. Someone has to pay. But cheer up, it might not be you. Dispute it with the god of doorways. If only we could stay walking, exist in that pure moment where we expect only the pleasure of forward movement, never have to go home. Walking, we're as close to transparent as a mountain stream that in summer flings itself over rocks and waterfalls and green pools. We flash yearning toward a cloudless sky. So I'm just going to mention that I left the 4th elegy out of this. I just went through and picked out someone. So don't think that you suddenly gapped out. You haven't. the fifth elegy. You cut through the world, singular now. One white wake that disperses sends the tiniest of ripples onto a pebble beach. Outside, 3 pink dogwoods droop under rain, flowers heavy as hearts. Trees refuse to believe anything but the snuggle of roots through soil. Chickadees and towhees peeking triumphant from their canopies. Oh, we are a circus of broken world disasters. The list wearies you. For 20 years, after every dinner with thinking friends, we, like robins, emerge with beaks full of worm. Your man comes home in an urn. Thoughts float up, pop like bubbles. Isn't there a tipping point where grief becomes so intense, it's easier to allow gravity to smash you flat than try to rise? You are not strong enough to save oceans, whales, salmon runs, or each other. Who comforts a towhee when it dies? Your friend once sat with a dying doe for hours when it collapsed by her back gate. Witness, I am here. I acknowledge the pressure of your coming death, how immense and terrible the dragon breath can be, until finally it is not. Stiff from sitting so long, your friend lurches to her feet, thinks, now I have to bury this deer. In the vast clanking scales of giving, gilded and ornate as clockwork, many of us are weighed and found wanting. Some love like heroes. We stand because this is what our mothers taught us, because the bowl of sky depends on us to greet it like a friend. As Luther said, I can do no other. We belong on the lawn, gazing up in wonder. Where do the whispers from our dead come from? Longing? Breakaway angels? A thread of love? Sky veers between summer clear and dubious. Who can we speak to of these months of enduring? Welcome to the human race. Loneliness is a fierce tide. Watch it run in the narrow places of the soul, in raised ridges of current that hiss as they pass under the one-lane wooden bridge. This tide will sweep you out to sea if you're not careful. Does love leave a shine in the air if celebrated often enough in the same place? Walk around a lake. Follow the glide of hundreds of previous walks taken with your love. You pointed out fresh beaver work on the dam to one another, marveled at the blue flare of water against sky as you came down the hill. Is this a real greeting you feel now, or longing reaching through you? All my mothers who taught me so much, none of you told me loneliness is the great human constant. Maybe this hard stumble is a discovery we must make solo, like stories that twist with the phrase, and then I came around a corner and a bear. Daisy chain into, and then what happened? We make it up as we go, often hungry, always amazed to find ourselves propelled forward by the push of hours. Look, spikes of foxgloves flare now, eccentric sentinels in the garden, their pink so cheerful you melt. You want to keep the garden, this green and luxuriant, long-armed roses humming into warm pops of brilliance, junco sheltering in the canopy of the yew. But the moment breaks free, an iceberg calving, and the bay swirls with the currents of long-gone mothers who smile and say, we navigated these perilous waters between birth and Orion's belt. Look up, the stars are your friends. Look up, the stars will guide you safely home. Sixth elegy. No, my dog has come in. She wants a pat. She's going, there's a lot of emotion going on around here. Something's happening. Sixth elegy. Don't we all need something to pattern from? Say, self, never mind being human. This you on the hillside that watches over its landscape with arms outstretched in blessing. Copy this instead. Sacred to the Druids, the yew is death and resurrection, the original cross, a tree with branches. Perhaps we're afraid of the price of being a hero. It's high risk. Ask Jesus or Buddha's wife, abandoned for a Bodhi tree. Wood only ever wants to lean into moving air, nuzzle up to the turning spray of stars above its crown. This morning, wind is a torrent, pushes evergreen tops in long arcs, rushes between them, noisy with the thrill of its own speed. Air rustles, full of whirling cedar fronds and fir branches learning to fly. All these excited ions wind you up. This is the start of a long storm. 9 months ago on this green island, your love went walking in cold January air, and then between one step and the next, died. You'd like to believe his spirit kept on stepping right past the end we imagined death to be. You can't believe life is a line that finishes with what Aristophanes of Byzantium called the terminal dot. Period. Punctuation that stops a sentence. Fini. Maybe when we go to the mysteries, we'll see existence as a wheel, or the Norse tapestry woven in the wool of 10 dimensions. Physicists tell us, yes, there are 10. Your dimension now is cored by absence. You understand this to your cost. Days are abalone shells, open to the cloud-filtered sky. Quite empty. Such pearl gleam colors. It's be your own hero time again. You ask yourself, what would someone you admire do? The answer is see beauty in the details. You are the very mouse of a hero, done, long-tailed, scurrying. What can you do but laugh? It's a bit late to ask for another life. You yearn to hide from longing, but it's a small house. Longing smells of patchouli and orange candles, dark musk with a lilt of citrus. Loneliness buffs the inside of abalone shells, pries open the book of hours, reads over your shoulder to circle the full stop you are busy discounting. Aristophanes, scribes and centuries moved your marks around on the page, but the meaning stayed, the end. But does dying mean a blank page? Isn't it right there in the hero's job description? Slice through myths, or in your case, nibble? Cretaceous period, Jurassic period, death is the largest of endings. Perhaps life simply makes a bend to another dimension of reality, the colorful warp of a different story, a path in the air necessary when it's our turn to travel the star road. And that is the end of that particular reading. I'm happy to take questions.
Oh, Zoe, thank you so much.
Yeah, I had a little bit of struggle there for a moment. My daughter used to tell me, think pink elephant, pink elephant, and you won't cry.
I know, but I was also observing your wry humor. The eras, crustacean, Pleistocene, death. I thought, thank heavens for the wry humor. It was such, it's such a privilege to hear those poems read out loud and together. Yeah.
And Adelia helped me with these. She and Sandy, for that matter, has read them.
Yeah.
So,
I just want to jump in and say, Zoe, it was incredible hearing you read this incredibly beautiful work, powerful, deep, just gorgeous. I mean, I've read them on the page several times and was blown away. And I'm even more blown away hearing them aloud. These have got to come out in a book real soon, or I'm going to go crazy. It's excellent.
Thank you. I actually have arranged it into a book at this point. Yeah, you and I were having lunch. We'll talk.
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Zoe, my dear.
That was really beautiful, Zoe. Thank you.
Thank you, love.
And though I've not experienced the loss myself, of course, I've experienced it with you through Ghani. But I think the poems are wider than that they speak to a depth of loneliness that touches many people. Yeah. So I think it's right, a book. It will reach many. Thank you, darling.
Thank you.
I'm going to jump in now. Oh, sorry. Is that Jeffrey? My apologies.
Oh, that's okay, Joy.
Stepped on someone's toe.
Well, no, not at all. And Andrea, I thought what you said about, I was walking with Zoe during some of this time, and I guess what touched me so much, Zoe, was your transmutation of these experiences. And
well, I'll leave everyone.
Yeah, leave us all in tears.
Pretty much, but I hope you remember the humor part too, because that's what makes it bearable.
The depth that makes it bearable to me. Like Andrea said, the breadth, but the depth. I mean, it just goes so many places in so many ways. It's what an elegy is supposed to be. It's in the context of the times. It's broad and it's personal. It's specific and it's general, and it's powerful.
I'm going to jump in now to say that I judge books by how much I want to underline in them. And I was scribbling lines that you said. So I think when this book comes out, my friend, I'm going to go over it with a yellow marker, because there are lines that just touched me. And as you know, my father recently died. And so I was hearing it through that context. And that's where I thought, how broad the work is, that it will touch people who are on their own, who just lost someone, who have a wish things were different, post, pre, whatever, COVID, all of that stuff. So now remind me what the title is, though.
It's the Orchid Heart Elegies.
Oh, God, I love that. Okay, thank you. Well, that's been wonderful. You're wonderful.
Thank you for asking, because I actually hadn't mentioned that about the book.
But you did speak about the orchid at the beginning, the tiny orchid.
I did.
And then I noted the line in one of the elegies, and I had that urge to scribble it down, that same urge. So yeah, but that's a glorious title. I didn't know that that's what you were going to call them. So I'm just, we should I just want to say thank you so much for the Pender Island cohort and the family cohort. Thank you, Jeff. And I just wanted to open up to others who don't know Zoe the way we do, but who might want to comment or ask a question, say something, speak to her work in some way.
Halima, hi Zoe. Thank you so much. I really was touched by your poems. But what really intrigued me, and I want to reread them, is the questioning you brought to these series, these elegies. You asked so many questions about where do we go from here? What's going on? What's going to happen to me? All those kinds of things. And I thought, that does come up when you have such a major loss. Where is this soul gone?
Yeah, you got it.
and who am I when I'm not with that soul? So thank you so much. And I can't wait to see the poems in print, so I can really look at the questions that were really triggered something in me. Thank you.
Thank you, Halima.
Yeah.
That's a good question, Amelia.
Oh, and Andrew, good.
Yeah.
Hi, Zoe. How did you come across Rilke's poems? Where did that happen?
I can't remember. I mean, I've been aware of them for many, many years. I mean, I'm a poet. I just read very extensively, and I don't know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, he's not a modern poet, but he's somebody we continue to read. Like he's remained timeless in a very interesting way, because he does this, what in my opinion is a very sort of interesting thing. He'll go off into these abstractions. He'll suddenly get very, very particular. He'll suddenly speak as though you right there are being hooked in. And he's talking, oh, so there's a we involved here. And then he has some astonishing image. So he goes back and forth between these, pulling you close and pushing you far away, but somehow managing to involve the reader in the process. I don't know what kind of an answer that is for you, Andrew.
No, I'm just fascinated by the use you made of his poems in terms of patterning your own poems. His. But where did that idea come from?
Oh, it's something I used to teach my students. We did one of the exercises that we did. It was very helpful to see how a poem worked. I call it a pattern poem, and I usually picked something that was very short and had distinctive words or phrasing. And I'd say, here's a choice of about 3. I want you to look at this, and I want you to look at the lines, see how long they are, see, like, are they nouns, verbs, like, what is this, an urban setting, a rural setting? And I want you to just copy that, except you have to use all your own words. You can't use any of the words that are in the poem. And first of all, no, you can't do it. No, actually you can. And it was really, they sort of got it, and it was fun for them. And so when I was so dispersed, it was helpful for me to pull me back. Oh, you could do a pattern thing. Just try it and see if it works. And because elegies was on my mind, then I thought of Rilke, and I got a few different translations of Rilke because some are more congenial than others.
Had you ever read George Bowering's Kerrisdale Elegies?
Yes, I did.
Because he patterned it on the Duino Elegies as well. And frankly, that's George Bowering's absolute best book ever.
That is true in my opinion as well, Sandy.
Actually, he finally acknowledged that he feels it's his best work too. It took him many years to do that, but he finally did.
Yeah. No, I remember that.
Yeah.
But no, you read with such passion.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
That's kind of who I am.
Yeah. Did you teach with that same passion in front of your students? Wow.
Yeah.
They were very lucky.
Thank you. And I learned a great deal from my students too, bless their hearts.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming today. This has been very moving. I was just, completely blown away by the effect of listening to those elegies after I felt like I know them pretty well, but I know them more on the page, and I just had never heard Zoe read them in that way, and the effect was astounding. And so thank you so much. It just speaks to the power of the elegy and our need to be able to have these things in our lives. So thank you.
Oh, bless you. Bless you all. This has been amazing.
Yeah. Stay safe on Pender Island.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yay.
Yeah. Thank you.